Hello, Dr. Ghosh. Thank you for this opportunity to let me interview you about my GMO Awareness Community Outreach Project as part of the National Science Matters campaign. So I guess I can start with the first question.
Thank
So,
you very much, Sudarshan. It's my pleasure. So why not you go ahead and start your questions and let's see how it goes.
okay. So can you please explain about GM food, or I should say genetically engineered food?
Okay, it's really a vast topic, as you know. So if I actually think about the history of genetically modified food, in 1973, actually, we first modified a bacteria. In 1974, we actually really modified animal. In 1983, we modified a plant. First plant to be modified was tobacco with kanamycin resistance. So, we have come up a long ways, but we still have a lot to do. But really, in biotechnology, we can do so many different things. Really, sky is not even the limit. It's even more than that.
Okay. So do you consider GM food to be safe?
I do, but a lot of people do not. So, for anything like this, you have to kind of see how much is the problem and how much is the good things we are getting from GM crops. So, really, GM crops have really revolutionized the whole world. So, like if you go to a grocery store, 70% of the fruits and vegetables you see are GM crops. But as you know, they are not labeled properly, right? In 2016, Obama, our president, 44th president, Barack Obama, actually signed a treaty saying that you have to label, but it's still not done. Maybe by 2022, it will be done. So as you know, GM crops can pose a lot of problem, can cause, it's an artificial gene in the fruits and vegetables. So it can cause allergy, it can cause some immune problems. A lot of people have trouble if you are taking a gene from an insect or a bacteria and putting it in. But I love biotechnology. I am very passionate of biotechnology, and I really think it really can cause that much damage. But, if some people are very allergic to foreign things, they should avoid GM crops.
Okay. So do you think there's enough information available about GM foods?
To customers or to scientists?
I would say in general, like in the world.
No. As I told you now, you can go to a regular grocery store like Safeway and buy some papaya. You might not even know that's a GM crop, okay? But it might be, because there has been a rule enacted in 2016 that everything should be labeled, but it's not being ratified yet. By 2022, we are expecting, so I don't think any normal common man can go to a store and buy a product and not knowing that they have bought a GM product. So I don't think we have enough information about GM crops.
Okay. So you said that you consider GM food to be relatively safe. So what do you think is the main benefit of GM food?
As I said, it's really in biotechnology, sky is the limit. So first GM crop was started, we actually made it an antibiotic resistant, right? Kanamycin resistant tobacco. Then we got like tomato, flavor savored tomato. So a lot of things can happen. Like I have taught you guys in the class that, a very good one is a bacteria called Bacillus thuringiensis makes a toxin that kills insects. right? So our idea is to take that gene and put it in crops. So the crops are insect resistant themselves. We don't need to spray anything. So, BT cotton, BT papaya, all those are really crops which has the BT gene in them. So there are many things we can do. We can increase the yield of the crops by putting some good genes in. We can make the crops more nutritious, putting some better genes in them. You name it. Flavor you can change, appearance you can change. You can make them disease resistant, you can make them drought resistant. I can keep going on and on, because you can do like 20 different things by inserting a new gene. Think about, like, if a fruit doesn't have a lot of vitamin C, you can really take the gene of vitamin C and put it in the fruit. So you understand. So that fruit was deficient in vitamin C, but will start making vitamin C and will be much more nutritious than we started with. So, really, sky is the limit.
Okay, so with the whole controversy going on with GMOs in the world right now, I shouldn't just say US, the whole world right now. So how common do you think genetically engineered foods are in the US, and maybe sure even the whole world?
70% in the US are GM crops.
Okay.
All the papayas, all the cotton, all the strawberries, all, a lot, like lettuce, spinach, everything.
Okay. So have you ever bought organically grown foods? I was just wondering.
Yes, I always try to buy organically grown things.
Okay. Let's see. So, but you don't purposefully like avoid GM foods, right? If they're
I won't.
Okay.
There was, a lot of people think GM crops causes cancer, right? Because there was one experiment, one lab kind of published some data that GM crops actually induces tumors in mice. But then it was shown later that, the parameters of the lab were not taken properly. So I really hope that we will do a lot more research to prove this, but we really do not have very strong evidence that GM crops cause cancer.
Okay. So would you buy genetically engineered foods if they were like, let's say, for example, if they were more nutritious than other foods?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And would you buy genetically engineered foods if they were less expensive than other foods? Or
of course.
Okay. And also, do you think the benefits of genetically engineered foods like outweigh its risks?
To me, I think they outweigh. But it really depends on the people, right? Like, I love DNA. I am passionate about biotechnology. I think, but if we make GM crops with a lot more yield, it can really feed a lot more people than normal crops. So, we won't have hunger problem. We will not have, poverty, all those things. There are a lot of kids who do not get good meals because food is so expensive. If GM crops kind of make the food cheaper, I think it will solve a lot of problem. But Sudarshan, it really depends on the person, though. You cannot force someone to believe in GM crops, and you cannot debate with me enough to tell me that GM crops are bad.
Okay. So what are some more of your thoughts regarding like people's health, like in terms of genetically engineered foods?
So a lot of people think GM crops are foreign genes in them, so they are not natural, they are artificial, so they actually cause allergy and cancer. I'm yet to see some real good supporting evidence for that. There were some data came up, but then they kind of proved that the experiment was not done properly. So I really hope that scientific community does more research and kind of prove either way, either they are fine or they are not fine. The problem is, we really do not know the long term effect. Usually, you do it for 1-2 years of study and you put it out, FDA approves it, it's out in the market. How do you know if you keep eating this for 20 years? How do you know it's not going to cause problems? So we really do not know the long term effect.
Okay. So like so if we cannot confirm, so if we cannot prove it, then you're saying that we just cannot like confirm it, right?
Right. So we need to do more research to support our ideas.
Okay. So we're nearing the end here. So what is like your overall opinion of genetically engineered foods?
Since I believe in DNA and I believe in biotechnology, I really think GM crops can do wonders. But on the other hand, I do think we need to do substantial amount of research before putting these things out. I know they do the short-term effects really well, but the problem is that a lot of people are very skeptic because we really don't know the long-term effects, right? What happens if you take the same GM crops for 20 years? So I really think, we need to do more research before putting them out in the market.
Okay. As my last and final question is kind of important. So I was just wondering what the best way is to reach my community in terms of like spreading at least like the correct information or like reliable information about genetically engineered foods. So like what's the best way to like educate my local community?
You can really, make a really short, concise video, but with a lot of good information. People will watch it because, if you write an essay on GM crops, I'm not sure how many people are going to read it, right? But a very short, like a 3-minute or a 5-minute video, I think will reach a lot of people, like on Facebook or Instagram or something. And again, like I really think I'm really looking forward to 2022. When they label the products properly, they say this gene is here, this chemical is here, or this resistance is here. So people will be more cautious, and they can read the labels properly and make their own decision. But I think what you are doing is great because how do you feel? Do you think like your common neighbors know a lot about GM crops? Do you think, what do you see?
I don't think so. I think there's still like mixed opinions out there in my neighborhood and in my whole community, in my city, in the world right now, really. There's just like I think there's a lot of mixed opinions going around regarding genetically engineered foods. So that's why I was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So that's a very good question. Maybe you can go to classes and present on GM crops. At least, if students know about it, they'll talk to their parents and on the dinner table and everything, they'll talk about it. You are right. Nobody, unless you have worked with GM crops, there are very few people who really knows about it, right? But maybe newsletter, maybe environmental club has started a newsletter. You can put something on GM crops, and maybe go from class to class and talk about it. Like I know we are going through a pandemic. Really, it's much less chance for you, but you can actually even make appointments with middle schools, like other schools, like other public middle schools, and go and present your ideas to students.
Yeah, I was going to do that like sometime in February, but as the pandemic struck, I've been trying to I'm trying to come up with different ideas. So like I was thinking of like Zoom meetings, these local kind of Zoom meetings, to basically talk to like the students like from like some of the schools, like my local middle school and high school in my city. So that, yeah, those were like my initial ideas after the pandemic struck.
I think great idea because a lot of people are trying to increase awareness through Zoom and everything, right? So start with your school first, start with your class, see how many people are interested. Even if you can educate one person, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think you start with your own school, then go reach out to other schools, and then maybe go to the library, public libraries, and you can increase awareness there.
Okay. I think that's it for this meeting. Actually, I think that's all the questions.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yeah, thank you very much.